Mexicans are taking to social media to express outrage over the recent deaths of photojournalist Rubén Espinosa and 4 women who authorities have not identified by name. Using the hashtag Fue el Estado, meaning it was the state, many social media users and activists are accusing Mexico's government of what they say were assassinations. And Margaret, this is something that sadly has been going on in Mexico for a long, long time, at least the last decade. It's the worst place in Latin America to be a journalist. The dangers of becoming a voice that exposes and denounces the corruption and the organized crime can cost you your life. There's big protests in Mexico City. They were found last Friday, all of them with a shot in the head, execution style. They were signs of torture. The women were raped. I mean, this is very gruesome. The background story, though, is what it makes it even worse. This photojournalist, he was working at a state in Mexico called Veracruz. And the governor, Duarte, he is very, very corrupt. And the problem is that last year there was another assassination of another journalist.
Which Ruben covered, and he was warned.
Exactly.
You know, Jose, you don't have in Mexico the same type of fourth estate protection that you do here in the U.S., so it's really shocking to you as a journalist. I know it is to me as well. When you hear about the type of torture, to me, this is state-sponsored terrorism. What happened to this photojournalist along with these 4 other women, one of them, conclusively an activist. Also, 15 other reporters that denounced this coastal state. It's my understanding that something happened to them as well.
Yes, it's systemic. In Veracruz, it's systemic. That picture that we have there, if we can put it full screen, that is the cover story. Proceso is one of the main social denouncing publications in Mexico. And this is the cover that actually got everything started against this photojournalist. Right after this, he started becoming harassed by the police to the point that he was actually threatened by a police officer saying, if you don't stop your coverage, you will end up dead like that other little reporter. So you understand.
Lydia, a year later,
he flew, that's the point, he fled out of Veracruz to Mexico City. That has been long known for being a safe haven for journalists to do their work because the corruption is not as widespread. But now we found them in an apartment Friday night with a bullet in the head. Now, there's 8 different cameras in the vicinity of this building where this was found. This is the other aspect that is unnerving Mexican citizens because the Mexico City prosecutor, Rodolfo Rios Garza, he came out and he said, well, we're going to look at this from every investigation line possible, robbery, violence against women, but he never ever mentioned the fact that the work that these guys were doing as journalists had something to do, and that is something that is happening all the time. And all of the journalistic family in Mexico is feeling completely unprotected by the government when you know that if you do your job, they won't look at the real root of the problem that is your work. That's the reason he got killed, for his work.
I mean, don't they care about, credibility, street cred? Like, you understand that journalists, if they're reporting on fair and accurate news, that they have a death sentence or tantamount to a death sentence, that type of job. And we're talking about a state that doesn't even accurately investigate their deaths and call them what they are, which is what everybody knows that they are. The only other time I've seen this in the U.S. where it was shrouded in conspiracy theory was with Michael Hastings. You know, he was reporting on a very high-profile general, reportedly working on something else, and then magically his car explodes. But this is so in your face. It's, it leaves no room.
I think that's what is really sparking the anger of Mexicans, and not only Mexicans, journalists all around the world have expressed their support and their indignation for this, is the lack of respect for the journalistic work. And, remember that old movie, The Fourth Power. Journalism has always been there to regulate the government, to be sure that the population knows what is going on and what the government is trying to do on the backhand. But if the government is not protecting the journalist, is being an accomplice to these murders. And that's what a lot of people are saying on Twitter. But we want to know how you feel about the situation, the reality of being a journalist in this type of conflicts and corruption-riled countries. Let us know. And please, if you haven't subscribed to the LibTV2.